على سيدنا رسول الله وآله وصحبه ومن والاه. Inshallah, in these lessons we will cover some of the chapters of Durar al-Mubaha fil Hadar wal-Ibaha by Al-Imam al-Faqih Khalil ibn Abd al-Qadir al-Shaybani al-Nihlawi wal-Nahlawi rahimahullah, who died in the year 1350 after the hijrah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This kitab is a relied upon kitab for the masail of Hadar and Ibaha. All of the mutun that you study, yani Quduri, Kanz, Ikhtiyar, Hidayah, they all have a chapter with this discussion. He dedicated his book to just those masail, and there's lots of detail in this kitab that may not be in the other, except for the mutawwalat, but the other mutun, yani the shorter mutun, they won't be in there. There's a lot of detail in this that are not in there. And he's mentioned the masail of Hadar and Iba'a, the halal and haram, and also lots of masail of adab. And if a person wants to know how to conduct themselves properly in everything that they're doing, whether it's eating, drinking, wearing your clothes, interactions with other people, all of these things, he covers all of the masail. So it's a very useful book, not only to know the masail of halal and haram, but for a Muslim to know how to conduct him or herself in their daily life. The first thing about al-Hadar and Ibaha, when you look at your books, when you look at all the Hanafi kitabs, مثلا you look at Al-Hidayah, you look at Qazi Khan, you look at Jami al-Saghir, and all these books, the word or the chapter Hadar and Ibaha has different names. So in some of the books like Hidayah, for example, they will name it Kitabul Karahiyya. Karahiyya yani meaning those things which are makruh in Sharia. And the reason why they call it Kitabul Karahiyya is because the ghalib of the masail in the chapter of Karahiyya will be detail about those masail which are haram. So they call it Kitabul Karahiyya, yani the chapter of those things which are makruh shar'an. Sometimes they refer to this chapter, like Imam Kasani in Badai al-Sanai calls this chapter Kitabul Istihsan. Kitabul Istihsan. And yani istihsan meaning ذكر الشيء or كون الشيء على صفة الحسن. Something being described with the characteristic of what? Husn. And when they call it Kitabul Istihsan, yani they mean this is that book in which those af'al which are hasan are mentioned. Those af'al which are mustahsana are going to be mentioned in this chapter. So they sometimes call it Kitabul Istihsan based upon it being yani the chapter of those things which are mustahsan. They have the sifr of husn attached to them. Sometimes in certain books the chapter is also called Al-Hadar wal-Ibaha. He's called Al-Hadar wal-Ibaha here, and that's in many of the other books as well. And Hadar wal-Ibaha, jam of two things there, Hadar and Ibaha. Hadar is yani that which is prohibited in Sharia, Mahdhurat, the Mahdhurat in the Sharia. And Ibaha, yani the Mubahat in the Sharia. So this is the chapter which includes those things which are what? Jaiz and not Jaiz. The Hadar being the Mahdhur, yani Mabni lil Maf'ul, yes? Masdar Mabni lil Maf'ul. Hadar, yani Mahdhur. Ibaha, yani Mubah. Again, Masdar Mabni lil Maf'ul. Okay? So he's obviously called it the Kitab of Hadar and Durar al-Mubaha fil Hadar wal-Ibaha. So it's the Kitab of Hadar and Ibaha. So these are the names of the. Sometimes you find the name also Kitabul Wara', Kitabul Zuhud, these things. Okay. So sometimes those names are used as well, because yani whoever follows these masail, you are following, you are adopting Zuhud, isn't it? Whoever follows these masail, you are adopting Wara'. So they sometimes call Kitabul Wara', Kitabul Zuhud. Okay, now The first thing he's going to do here in this kitab in the beginning is he's going to define hadar and ibaha. Yani what is the mubah and what is the makruh. What is the halal, what's the haram. He's going to define this. So we read this, inshallah, we understand this, and then I'm going to give you some tahqiq from Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi alayhi about how we define these things and these ahkam shar'iyya. So the Imam says Rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي يسر ولا تعسر وتمم بالخير وبك نستعين يا فتاح يا فتاح يا فتاح اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. قال المصنف رحمه الله: المقدمة في تعريف الحظر والإباحة. الحظر هو المنع والحبس وهو هنا عبارة عما منع من استعماله. The Imam says حظر لغة means منع and حبس, يعني it means prevention, restriction. وهو هنا, and here, يعني when we're talking about it in this موضع of the books of fiqh, of the chapters of fiqh, ما منع من استعماله. It is a expression for that whose isti'mal, whose usage is what? Prohibited, prevented in Sharia. So this is the meaning of hadar. وَالْمَحْظُورُ ضِدُّ الْمُبَاحِ. And mahdur is the what? Opposite of mubah. وَالْمُبَاحُ مَا خُيِّرَ الْمُكَلَّفُ بَيْنَ فِعْلِهِ وَتَرْكِهِ. And the mubah is that which the mukallaf has been given what? Takhyir, an option. بَيْنَ فِعْلِهِ وَتَرْكِهِ, between doing it and not doing it. مِنْ غَيْرِ اسْتِحْقَاقِ ثَوَابٍ وَلَا عِقَابٍ, without being deserved of what? Any reward or any punishment. Okay, that's clear. وَالْإِبَاحَةُ, so that's حذر لغوي اصطلاحي معنى. And look, he says, why did he mention mubah underneath محظور؟ تعرف الأشياء بأضدادها. So he's telling you, يعني when he explains mubah, understanding mubah as the opposite of mahdur will clarify your understanding of mahdur. ठीक है? تعرف الأشياء بأضدادها. You understood that? That's why he's mentioned it there. Now is the ta'rif of ibaha. So that mubah, he just mentioned that to complete the ta'rif of mahzur. This is now the ta'rif of ibaha. So lughatan al-ibahatu al-itlaq. It is what? Itlaq. Itlaq meaning what? Raf'ul qayd. You know from Usul al-Shashi. Itlaq is what? Raf'ul qayd. Yani, or it also means fath, to open something. Yani when there is no qayd there, when there is when something is what? There's no يعني there's no qaid there, there's no restriction there, there's no prevention there. That is what? Itlaq. So that's ibaha lughatan. And he says, now he gives you a qaida here which we need to understand according to Imam Muhammad and according to the Shaykhin. The Imam says, kullu makruhin كراهة تحريم كالحرام عند الإمام محمد رحمه الله في باب الحظر والإباحة وعندهما أي أبي حنيفة وأبي يوسف رحمهم الله إلى الحرام أقرب. Okay, so there's two definitions here of what we consider to be makruh, and by makruh here we mean karaha tahrim. This is a famous matter, we all know this. Whenever makruh's itlaq is done in the books of the Hanafi madhab, we know that it means makruh tahrimi, and this is from the nas of Imam Abu Hanifa rahmatullahi alayh. Imam Muhammad rahimahullah asked him this question, and there's the nas of the Imam Abu Hanifa where he said that when I say makruh, it means what? It means makruh tahrimi. So here, according to Imam Muhammad rahimahullah, kullu makruhin kal haram. Imam Muhammad al-Shaybani rahimahullah, according to this ibarat here, it seems that he's saying that what every makruh, which is makruh tahrimi, is just like the haram. Just like the haram. That gives us the impression that Imam Muhammad rahimahullah ta'ala is saying that what? It's not haram haqiqatan, makruh tahrimi. It gives the impression, Imam Muhammad's ibarat here, that it's what? Not haram haqiqatan, but it's shabih to the haram. How is it shabih to the haram? Because of the uquba. Because both of them will be what? Deserved of an uquba. Even though makruh's uquba will be less than the uquba of haram, but they both deserve an uquba, so there's a mushabaha between them. Okay, so that's what it seems that Imam Muhammad Ibarat is saying there, rahimahullah. Take it. And then وعندهما أي أبي حنيفة وأبي يوسف إلى الحرام أقرب. According to the Shaykhain, what is it? It is that everything that is أقرب to the haram, أقرب to the haram. And it's not قطعي haram. There's no nas qat'i. We're going to talk about this in a minute, but there's no nas qat'i dictating it to be haram, but it's aqrab to the haram. Then they consider it to be what? Makruh tahrimi. Now, on this, it seems that they are expressing it in two different ways. But in reality, there's not much difference between what they are saying. So, Imam Ibn Humam rahmatullahi alayhi, he explains that look, you know, Imam Muhammad rahimahullah, we know for a fact from his own nusus, Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi alayhi, we know from his own nusus that he never did takfir. He never did takfir of the one who does juhud of wajib or makruh. He never did takfir of what? The one who does juhud of a wajib or a makruh. He did not do takfir of them. So the fact that he didn't do, but he did takfir of the one who did juhud of a fard or a haram. Yep. Take it. On that basis, Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi alayhi, when he says, كل مكروه كالحرام, كالحرام, you know that كالحرام there, that mushaba that's between them, okay? Is Imam Muhammad rahmatullahi alayhi saying that they're exactly the same in hukm? They're not. And we can understand that from his other nusus. Okay? Rather, he's saying that kal haram, yani we can say majazan. So they have a mushabah in what? Asl al-uquba. But he does not do takfir of them. Hence, we can tell that there's a difference between the two according to him, rahmatullahi alayh. That's one thing. Now, Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Abu Yusuf's ibarat was what? إلى الحرام أقرب. إلى الحرام أقرب. Now, Imam As-Sarakhsi in Mabsut rahmatullahi alayhi mentions a similar ibarat to the one mentioned by Imam Abu Yusuf, Imam Muhammad from Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, where Imam Abu Yusuf asked Imam Abu Hanifa, إذا قلت في شيء أكرهه فما رأيك فيه. O Imam, when you say about something أكرهه, I hold this to be makruh, what is your ra'i in that? قال التحريم. He said, I mean it's tahrim. But what does that tahrim mean there? That tahrim means, it's a tahrim, but in the same way that Imam Muhammad didn't do what? The takfir of the one who does juhud of that tahrim. Imam Abu Hanifa also is not doing takfir of this individual. So they're both not doing takfir of the one who is performing this quote unquote tahrim. So you know, after understanding that, bil fi'l, is there any farq between the ma'na of Imam Muhammad's kalam here and the Shaykhain's kalam here? Both of them are in agreement that the karaha that we're talking about here and the makruh that we're talking about here is that karaha which the jahid of it is not deemed a what? Kafir. The jahid is not deemed a kafir, but there will be a uquba for them. So both of them are in agreement about that then. You see? So hakikatan there's no farq between the ma'na of the kalam of both. It's just a difference in what? Ta'bir. That's all. Is that clear? You understood that? So they're both talking about the same thing. طيب, what's the hukam of a makruh tahrimi in Sharia? Ala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayhi makes it very clear in Fatawa Rizviyah. A makruh tahrimi which is performed once is a saghira. Ala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayhi mentions this clearly. If performed once, it's a saghira. If there's an i'ada of it, then it becomes a what? Kabira. Alright, so that's understanding makruh and haram, or understanding these ibarat of the a'imma. Now, something important for us to understand. You know, in fact, I'll come back to that. Let's read the next part. Okay. مطلب في المكروه. Okay, makruh. So we've talked about we've talked about the mahzur, we talked about ibaha, we talked about the ta'rif of what? Of the makruh tahrimi according to Imam Muhammad and Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah. He's just going to mention now in his own matan those things. Those the same. Why I've given you a tamheed on those masail not going to be mentioned here. So makruh, فالمكروه تحريما نسبته إلى الحرام كنسبة الواجب إلى الفرض. Just like wajib, what's the nisbah of wajib to fard? The same, with the difference of what? Shubha in dalil. So the nisbah of makruh to haram is what? The same, except there's a what? Yeah, shubha in the dalil. Just the same. والمكروه كراهة تنزيه إلى الحل أقرب. And as for makruh tanzihi, this is that thing which is what? إلى الحل أقرب. It is that which is closer to what? The halal. Closer to the halal. Okay. يعني that whose tark is أولى. Okay, that whose tark is أولى. فلا يعاقب فاعله أصلا ولكن يثاب تاركه أدنى ثواب. The one who performs it will not be given any mu'aqaba. There's no sin. ولكن يثاب تاركه أدنى ثواب. However, the one who does tark of it will be given thawab, the slightest thawab, يعني very smallest amount of thawab. All right then. تيكا. Then he says مطلب في المباح حكمة مشروعية المباح ترويح النفس المكلفة من مشقة القيام بتلك الأحكام الأربعة الباقية التي هي الفرض والمندوب فعلا والحرام والمكروه تركا. The Imam says رحمه الله, this is very beautiful hikmah here. He says that what's the hikmah of Allah Ta'ala allowing those things in Sharia to be mubah? He says ترويح النفوس المكلفة. Look, every nafs is mukallaf, yep. Mukallaf, Allah Ta'ala says أَيَحْسَبُ الْإِنسَانُ أَن يُتْرَكَ سُدًى. Does insan believe that he will be left suda? What's the meaning of suda? Imam Shafi explains أي لا يؤمر ولا ينهى. Will insan be left? Does insan think that he will be left and yutraka? لا يؤمر ولا ينهى. Will he be left neither commanded nor prohibited? Of course not. You will be commanded and we will be prohibited by Allah from certain things because we are all of us bound by the law of Allah Azza wa Jal in this alam. So all of us are mukallaf, but taklif is, yani what's the ta'rif of taklif? إلزام ما فيه الكلفة. It is binding, the binding of that which is, obligating of that which has difficulty inside it. So, deen is not easy. Yani meaning that yani deen is easy, alhamdulillah. Allah Ta'ala has made deen easy. What I'm saying is you're not left to your own devices.
So how do you then interpret the hadith that gave yusran?
I'm saying you, deen is easy. Deen yusran, there's no doubt about that. It's easy. Allah Ta'ala has given us balanced way compared to the Sharia of Musa Islam and Isa Islam. It's easy. What I'm saying is we have not been left to our own devices. That's what I'm trying to explain. We'll come back to that. Inshallah, we'll discuss that another time. But so there's some kulfa, isn't it? Otherwise, you wouldn't be some taklif. Now that taklif tires you, isn't it, Ubaid? Hunayn. So Allah Ta'ala therefore has allowed us from His hikmah Jalla Jalalu, He has allowed us those things which neither is there command for them, neither is there prohibition on them, but you can enjoy them. ترويح النفس المكلفة من مشقة القيام. Allah Ta'ala, ترويح النفس, يعني to give the nafs, to give the souls rest, the obligated souls rest from the difficulties من مشقة القيام بتلك الأحكام الأربعة, of the difficulties of what? Upholding those four previous ahkam. What are the four previous ahkam? التي هي فرض والمندوب أصلا, the فرض and the mandub, فعلا يعني in terms of performing, والحرام والمكروه تركا, and in terms of the haram and the makruh tarkan. Okay? That's the hikmah in your mubah. He mentions one final قاعدة here. والمباه قابل أن يصير طاعة بالنية الحسنة كالأكل مقدار الشبع. Sometimes mubah can become what? طاعة, can become an act of obedience with a good niyyah, like eating to your fill. لِيَتَقَوَّى بِهِ عَلَى طَاعَةِ اللَّهِ, to strengthen yourself for the obedience of Allah. وَإِن يَصِيرَ مَعْصِيَةً بِالنِّيَّةِ الْقَبِيحَةِ, but sometimes it can also become what? A sin with an evil intention. كَلَبْسِ الثِّيَابِ الْفَاخِرَةِ لِأَجْلِ التَّكَبُّرِ عَلَى الْغَيْرِ. Person wears clothing out of arrogance to prove their or to demonstrate their status, then that clothing becomes what? The Prophet ﷺ Bukhari said that an individual walks on the earth and his clothes make him mu'jib about himself, and he will be what? Buried 7 levels into the earth, Prophet ﷺ said. Okay. Alright, that's the ta'rif of makruh in the Hanafi madhab and the ta'rif of what? Mubah in the Hanafi madhab. You've understood makruh tahrimi and makruh tanzihi and mubah. Alright. Now, this, and at the end, look what he mentioned here. Al-ahkam al-arba'a al-baqiyah. So, fard, mandub, haram, makruh, and mubah. How many ahkam shar'iyah? 5. These 5 ahkam shar'iyah, you find that the books of usul fiqh, this is the manhaj that they adopt. Some of them, like Talweeh, mention more and go into more detail. Taftazani mentions more. He breaks it down into 12. Lekin, these 5 are your principal ahkam that most books of usul fiqh go by. Ala Hazrat's tahqiq then, rahmatullahi alayhi, is as follows. Ala Hazrat rahmatullahi alayhi says that, you know, the nusus talabiyah. Nusus talabiyah, any nas which is doing talab of any action from you, they are of 3 types. Take up, they're of 3 types. Either number 1, he says ما فيه طلب ترغيب, ما فيه طلب ترغيب, يعني there's a talab in this, but طلب الترغيب, يعني there's a talab, there's a Allah Ta'ala demanding something from you, but talab targhib, with somewhat encouragement in there. And the second category, he says it is talab targhib, but with what? مع التأكيد. It's a talab, targhibi talab, but it has what? Ta'keed with it. And he also says the third type is where there's a talab targhib, but the talab is a talab jazim. Talab targhib, but the talab is a talab jazim. Like aqimus salah. Okay. And then, you know, each one of these three breaks down into 9 types. Each one has 9 subcategories, okay? Each one has 9 subcategories. How many got then? 27 in total. All right, so nusus talabiyya then, you break them down into these 27 aqsam. Ala Hazrat Rahmatullah explains, okay, now, before I explain the types now, understand something. Do you know what subut and dilala or subut and isbat are? So, subut means the establishment of something. Yani, on what basis is this established? Is it established through definitive means, qat'i means, or by doubtful means? We call that thubut. Yeah, مثلا Quran, we say Quran is what? قطعي الثبوت. Why? Because it is ثابت بالتواتر. Yeah, that's thubut. The second thing is ithbat or dilala. Sometimes they say ithbat, sometimes they say dilala. What is ithbat? What is dilala? Yani, for example, this is that which is being discussed in this particular nas, okay, or the talab which is in this nas, is that itself, that which is doing isbat of, is that qat'i or is that zanni? Okay? مثلا, you have a hadith, man ata ha'idan, you done this in your janab taysir, man ata ha'idan أو امرأة في دبرها وكاهنا فقد كفر بما أنزل على محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. You read this hadith here? It's in the ta'rif of hadith da'if in taysir. Whoever approaches a ha'id woman, or woman from her back passage, or goes to a what? Soothsayer, has committed kufr in that which has been revealed upon the Prophet ﷺ. Take care? Hadith. Okay. You know that which is in that hadith. Look at the alfaz of that hadith. Is there any zan about the madlul of that hadith? Or can we all understand what's being said clearly? It's clear, isn't it? We know exactly what's being said. So the isbat of the hadith, we can say is what? Qat'i. There's no ikhtilaf about it amongst the fuqaha. So that's the isbat or the dilala. Okay? So that's qat'i. Lekin the subut of the hadith, you know it's a hadith what? Da'if. So the subut will be zanni. So it's zanni thubut, but we can say qat'i dilala. All right, there's many examples of this. Okay, so this is subut and isbat. All right. Now, Ala Hazrat Rahimahullah, he explains that, look, you know, fard, from those 27 aqsam that we're going to talk about, fard is only established, okay, in one situation. And he says that it has to be from those three nusus talabiyah. Which nas talabi will it be? The third one, talab jazim. Talab jazim. That's the type of nas it has to be. It has to be a talab jazim, yani absolutely clear cut, unwavering demand from Allah Azza wa Jal. Talab jazim. Okay? And alongside the talab jazim, there has to be what? It has to be yaqini subut and yaqini isbat or yaqini dilala. That's what he says, rahimahullah. So number one, there has to be what? Talab jazim. And then there has to also be, it has to be, the nas has to be yaqini subut and yaqini dilala. Example of this, let's take a look at aqimus salah. Okay? Aqimus salah. Number one, talab jazim. Okay? How do we know it's a talab jazim? We know it's a talab jazim because what's the asl in amr? Amr is for wujub aslan. Okay? Amr is for wujub aslan, number one. And you all know the dalail in your usul books to support that. Lekin, alongside that, the talab is jazim, we know because of the actions of the Prophet ﷺ, because of his encouragement of it, because of the ahadith which he has given us regarding the importance of salah. So we know it's a talab jazim. Yani al-tariku, what did he say alayhi salatu wasalam? The difference between kufr and iman is salah. Yani these types of nusus, they tell you it's a talab jazim. Then alongside that, this aqimus salah. Let's look at the subut and let's look at the isbat. The subut of aqimus salah, what is it? Yaqini is because Quran. Quran is mutawatir. Mutawatir is yaqeen. It gives the ifad of yaqeen. So it's yaqini subut. And then the dilala of aqimus salah. Is aqimus salah, the dilala of aqimus salah, is it talking about anything? Is there any ikhtilaf amongst anybody from the ummah, from those who understood the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the Sahaba, from those who follow? Is there any ikhtilaf about what salah is? No. No Muslim differs about this. It is therefore yaqini yul wa isbat or yaqini yul dilala. So is subut is yaqini, is dilala, isbat is yaqini, and it's a talab jazim that will establish a what? Fard, he says, rahimahullah. Acha, three categories from these 27 give you wujub. 3 categories from these 27 give you what? Wujub. So this is how wajib is established. Ala Hazrat mentions, rahmatullahi alayh, it has to be a talab jazim. Has to be a talab jazim. Otherwise it wouldn't be close to fardiyah if it wasn't a talab jazim. Okay? Talab jazim. Yani say again? Talab jazim meaning it's imperative demand. And it's not just an encouragement. Yep. Okay. So it's talab jazim. But alongside talab jazim, Ala Hazrat says, rahimahullah, when either it is dhanniyu subut or dhanniyul isbat or both of them. Okay? So you got talab jazim, that's fine. It'll be zanniyu subut, qat'iyu dilala. Or it will be what? Qat'iyu subut and what? Zanniyu dilala. Or zanniyu isbat. And the third one, zanniyu subut and zanniyu isbat, zanniyu dilala. Okay? Those three situations. Yep, so zanniyu subut with qati dilala. Okay? Or qati subut with zanni dilala. Or zanniyu subut with zanniyu dilala. So basically you've got zan either in the tarafain of the subut or isbat or in both of them. Alongside the talab jazim. In these three cases, wujub is established. Okay? Hence, Ala Hazrat Rahimullah says that what? The beard is, fistful beard is wajib. This is why he says it. Yani because what? Because you have, for him, Ala Hazrat Rahimullah says that what? The nas is a talab jazim. خالف المشركين وحف الشواري وفروا اللحى. Grow your beards, talab jazim. Take it. He said, do mukhalafa of them, isn't it? Grow your beards. And take it, it's zanniyu subut, because it's a hadith khabar wahid. But is it what? Is it zanniyu isbat or is it qatiyu isbat? For Allah, that is qatiyu isbat. The hadith is clear. وفروا اللحى. Let them grow. Let them grow means don't trim them. You see, so he calls it wajib for this reason. Sayyidina Abdullah ibn Umar radiyallahu ta'ala anhu in Bukhari, he said that we used to take what? Our beards, and whatever came under the fist we would cut. Okay, that's how you establish wujub, those three. Now four categories establish sunnah. Four categories establish sunnah. Four categories establish sunnah. Okay, he says that, look, you know, the four that we've just done, we've done one for fard and what? Three for wajib. Those same four, yani yakini subut, yakini dilala, or zanni subut, or zanni dilala, or zanni tarafain. That's four, isn't it? Those same four, lekin, the talab, the nas talabi in these things which establish sunnah, the nas talabi in them will be that nas which has what? Is that nas talabi which is ma'at ta'keed. That was the second category, wasn't it? From the nasus talabiyah. That nas talabi which is ma'at ta'keed, that nas will establish what? Sunnah alongside those categories of zanni, subut, dilala or tarafain. Or yakini subut, yakini dilala. Okay? All right then. So it's not a talab jazim then. Okay? But talab ghayr jazim, but talab ma'at ta'keed. There is some ta'keed in there. All right then, how many have you got left then? So you got one for fard, three for wajib, four for sunnah. How many left? Yeah, 27 in total. So how many left now? 19. The remaining 19 options. The remaining what? 19 options which remain. Okay? These remaining 19 options all establish nudb. They all establish nudb. Take care. These 19 all establish nudb. And Ala Hazrat Rahimullah, he explains, in these remaining 19, it doesn't matter what the nas talabi is. The nas talabi in the remaining 19 can be what? Talab targhib, or talab ta'keed, or talab jazim. Doesn't matter. If in one of the tarafain, yani in the taraf of thubut or the taraf of what? Ithbat, there is shak. You all know shak, yani, you know yaqeen, zan, waham, shak. You know this. If there is shak in any of the tarafain, يعني the subut of it is what? Shakki. The isbat of it is shakki. ठीक है? This is, remember, a level lower than zan now. Okay? Now, if there's shak in any of the tarafain, even if the talab is a talab jazim, can be any of the three types of talab. If any of the tarafain there's a what? Shak, Ala Hazrat Rahimullah says that it will give the faida of what? That nas will give the faida of nudub. Only nudub. Okay? Those remaining 19 options, therefore. Okay, so any of the three types of talab, but then in either of the tarafain you've got shak. So in the subut there's shak, or in the isbat there's shak, or there's shak on both tarafain. Either way, it's going to end up being what? Mandoob. It will not be sunnah, it will not be wajib, it will not be fard. Okay? And if you do qiyas, so this is the janib talab, isn't it? Or the janib fi'l. Yani janib fi'l, these are the actions that you do, isn't it? Fard, wajib, sunnah. Same qiyas for the janib waqaf, and you'll get the same options there. Mathalan, you in the haram, for the haram you will have the three types of talab, or three types of nahi, we can say. Targhib, or ma'ta'kid, or jazim, and then zanni subu, and then qati and zanni, the same way. And in the same, so how will haram be established then? Haram will be established when it's yaqini subut, yaqini dilala, and the talab is and the nahi is a nahi what? Jazim. And the wujub, four types of wujub, will be established with the what? As a nas, which is a talab, nahi jazim. Lekin in either of the tarafain there is what? Zan, or in tarafain there is zan. Same. يعني قيس على هذا. You can work that out yourselves. And one final thing that Allah mentions, rahimahullah, is that, when you're talking about sunniyah, something being sunnah, the Imam says, rahmatullahi alayh, that shak will never establish sunniyah. And this is why a sunnah will never be established with a hadith da'if. Ever. The most the hadith da'if can establish is what? Mustahab. It will never ever prove sunnah. Okay. That's very, very amazing tahrir from Ala Hazrat rahmatullah alayh. You can read that in Al-Jud al-Hulu fi Arkan al-Wudu. It's in his Risala Al-Jud al-Hulu fi Arkan al-Wudu. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik. That tahrir of Ala Hazrat there, very mufid if you memorize that. That's a usuli tahqiq, very beneficial for you. Okay, let's read the beginnings of the first chapter then. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Now you know how to establish, how fard is established, how wajib is established, how sunnah is established, how mandub is established, and how haram, makruh, tahrimi, tanzihi, the definitions, we just read them, how they established, how nudub is established, how ibah is established. So all of that is settled now. All right then. Al-Babul Awwali fil Akli wa Shurb. Matlabun fi taqsim al-akal. All of the Hanafi books mentions this. Okay, this taqsim. Sometimes eating is what permissible, sometimes it's necessary, sometimes it's haram, sometimes makruh. All of these things. Fardun yuthabu alayh wa huwa biqadri ma yandafi'u bihi al-halak. ويمكن معه الصلاة قائما فإن ترك الأكل والشرب حتى هلك فقد عصى. The Imam says, fard, that which you are rewarded upon, is to eat that amount which ما يندفع به الهلاك, that amount with which death is dispelled. Okay? Halak means death here. That amount by which death is dispelled. So this is the literally bare minimum that a person eats in order to sustain their life. Eating that is fard upon you. Okay? وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. That's your dalil. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Do not throw your, do not تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيكُمْ إِلَى التَّهْلُكَةِ. Yani don't extend your hands into destruction. So we are not allowed to cause ourselves harm. And وَيُمْكِنُ مَعَهُ الصَّلَاةَ قَائِمًا, and that minimum amount which you need to be able to perform the salah standing. فَإِن تَرَكَ الْأَكْلَ وَالشُّرْبَ حَتَّى هَلَكَ فَقَدْ عَصَى. If you don't eat or drink until you die, you have become sinful. So is a hunger strike permissible in Sharia? The answer is mutlaqan hunger strike is not permissible. But to some daraja is permissible. Yani if you're not going to be doing haram as long as you eat the bare minimum that keep you alive and allow you to perform salah standing. It's not haram. You're doing a fard, even though you're doing a makruh action. Lekin you're not. It's not haram to that level, but completely starving yourself, that is haram.
You know this, Durar. So for example, in war you have people that go, they're charging forward and they know, look, we're going, there's no chance. They're going anyway. Would that be permissible?
That's permissible. That's permissible. The reason why that's permissible, because a person in Ghamz or in Ashba al Nadhair Ibn Nujay mentions this masala. So that is permissible because of the ayah of the Quran. وَإِن يَكُن مِّنكُمْ 20 صَابِرُونَ يَغْلِبُوا 200. So perhaps Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ala kharqil aada can give you victory even if you are alone in small numbers. So that's permissible for a person to do that. ठीक है. ويمكن معه الصلاة فإن ترك الأكل والشرب حتى هكا فقد عصى لأن فيه إلقاء النفس إلى التهلكة, because with that is throwing yourself into death. وإنه منهي عنه في محكم التنزيل, and that's haram in the Quran, the ayah just recited. ولا تلقوا بأيديكم إلى التهلكة بخلاف ما امتنع من التداوي حتى مات إذ لا يتيقن أنه يشفيه. This is as opposed to the one who refrains from tadawi, medical treatment. حتى مات, until he dies. إذ لا يتيقن أنه يشفيه, because there's no yaqeen that he will gain shifa. There you go. So tadawi in Sharia is sunnah. It is sunnah because the Prophet ﷺ told us to do tadawi. فإن ما جعل الله ما جعل الله داء إلا جعل له دواء أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. Allah, Rasulullah ﷺ said, use medicine because Allah has not made any illness except that He's made the cure as well for that. So He said, seek the cure. Lekin that's a sunnah. Okay? It's not fard upon a person to seek medical treatment. If they do, why? Because even if they don't seek medical treatment, لا يتيقن أنه يشفي. There's no yaqeen that they will gain shifa. So because there's no yaqeen that they will gain shifa, when a person starves themselves to death, they already have life thabit, isn't it? Their hayat is thabit, and they are doing izala of that which is thabit already. Lekin in the state where a person is a marid, okay, and they are on the verge of dying, then they're not doing izala of that which is thabit, and neither is there any yaqeen that they will be able to do iqama of their life, such that they have to take the what? Medicine. So for that reason, it's not necessary to treat ourselves medically. ومندوب هو ما يعينه على تحصيل النوافل وتعليم العلم وتعلمه. Yep. Mandub, that amount of eating which helps you upon what? For performing your nawafil and seeking knowledge and studying. But pay attention, too much eating sometimes makes it worse in your studies and in your what? Ta'aleem and ta'allum. Yani overeating, it stops you from doing that. Number one, it dulls your mind from overeating. Number two, it becomes a person becomes heavy. Yani hatta, subhanallah, I read this. Who says this? I read this a few days ago. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim wa salli alayhi. غالبا one of the mufassirun, I read it. He said that obesity and intelligence very rarely gather in any person.
on reception then, innit, or something.
I'm not attacking anybody. I'm just telling you what I read. I'm just telling you what I read. But that's what he said. Like, there's some truth to that. When a person becomes heavy in their body, some people are naturally just big. Give you that was it, isn't it? Was big. Some people are just naturally big. नहीं लेकिन overeat, when a person becomes morbidly obese and they overeat, and it slows your body down, it slows your mind down, it slows your ability down. So a person should eat sparingly then, isn't it? Anyway, well, let's move on swiftly from that. ومباح وهو ما كان منتهيا إلى الشبع لتزيد قوته. لتزيد قوته. The Imam says, then mubah, that which what منتهيا إلى الشبع, filling your stomach is mubah. لتزيد قوته, so that his قوة, so that his strength can be what? Increased. ومكروه وهو ما زاد على الشبع قليلا ولم يتضرر به. Eating more than that which is your fill by a little, even if it doesn't cause you harm, okay, this is makruh. And why is it makruh tahrimi? It's makruh tahrimi because there's, number one, ida'atul mal. There's what? Ida'atul mal. It's a waste of money. And that's haram by the nas. And number two is what? Imrad. Imrad lin nafs. You're causing yourself illness eventually. Okay? But because it's only a bit more than your fill, it's not haram, because the darar is not what? Yaqini. But haram here, he says, وهو ما فوق الشبع إلا أن يقصد قوة صوم الغد أو لئلا يستحيي ضيفه أو نحو ذلك. ما فوق الشبع, eating that which is above the fill. Habitually a person fills their stomach, eats more than their fill, this is haram. And the reason for this being haram is the same, and it's a waste of money, and it what leads you to illness. And the reason why this is haram here is because a person who eats more than their fill habitually, regularly, okay, and they regularly eat a lot more than their fill, there's the harm of that person, it's yaqini that they are putting themselves towards what? Towards haram. So eating that much is not permissible. The Prophet ﷺ said, بِحَسْبِ ابْنِ آدَمَ لُقَيْمَاتْ يُقِمْنَ صُلْبَهُ, is enough for the son of Adam to eat a few morsels to strengthen or straighten his back. فإن كان لا محالة فثلث لطعامه وثلث لشرابه وثلث لنفسه. And if he said, if there is a need, then a third for your breathing, and a third for your water, and a third for your food, he said, alayhi salatu wasalam. Okay, so we should act by that. جوعا جوعا. Yeah, that's right. Those who will be most hungry on the day of judgment are those who fill their stomachs the most in the dunya. Yeah. And also notice that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has done them of those who eat too much in the Quran. وَالَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا وَيَتَمَتَّعُونَ وَيَأْكُلُونَ كَمَا تَأْكُلُ الْأَنْعَامُ وَالنَّارُ مَثْوًى لَهُمْ. Allah says, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. Allah says that what they eat like cattle eats. They enjoy and they eat like cattle eats, and the fire is their abode. Wallahu al-musta'an. So we should eat less.
This happened when I read Arba'in fi Usul al-Din as well. Don't worry, you get over it very quick.
إلا أن يقصد قوة صوم الغد. But if you're intending the strength to fast the next day, أو لئلا يستحيي ضيفه, or you have guests and you don't want your guests to become shy. From the adab of the host is that you continue eating until your guest is eating, so that they don't become shy. They might think, he's stopped, if I don't stop now, I look like greedy one. So keep eating until they eat. That's permissible for you to do that. Or if you're intending strength to fast tomorrow, lekin this yaqsid sawm al-ghad, that's fine. You can eat a bit more than you're full to strengthen your body. Lekin the maqsad of sawm is to feel the hunger, isn't it? Imam Abdul Wahhab al-Sha'rani rahmatullahi alayhi in Lawaqih, he says that these people who have Ramadan feasts and invitations, he says they do not realize not only are they destroying their own fast, they destroy the fast of everybody who arrives. Why? Because he says that the maqsad of the fasting, all the nur that you did tahsil of by keeping yourself hungry, the minute you fill your stomach, you throw it all out the window. So he says that if you these Ramadan parties, they destroy your own fast and they destroy everybody else's fast as well. Yep. So the maqsad of fasting is to feel, and it's to qahr of the nafs. ठीक है. Chalo, that's the categories of eating and drinking. Khair, we look at the sunan and the adab. We'll do that tomorrow then, inshallah, the next lesson, inshallah. We'll do this matlabun fi sunan al-akli wa adabihi, inshallah, in the next lesson. وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وآله وصحبه وسلم.